Hello everyone, this is Lena at Gradelink. Thanks again for joining me for the financial webinar video series. This is video number 19. In this video, I will be showing you how to run an account balances report. Now, the account balances report is really helpful for two reasons. First of all, it helps you track all of your transaction totals by category, for example, tuition or aftercare, something like that. So it helps you track your transaction totals by category so that you can do financial forecasting for next year and have an idea of what to expect for the next school year. The second reason why this report is helpful is that it lets you see who in the school has an outstanding balance on their account at any point in time. So there's obviously a couple benefits of this report. Let me show you now how to run it. You want to be in your financial tab still, and you would go to the reports at the top of the page. But this time I'm going to choose account balances. That's the fourth option down on the screen. Next, I would select the session that I'm interested in. I could do, I'll go ahead and do 2013-2014. Next, I would select the billing periods that I'd like to include on the account balances report. So I'm going to go ahead and start in, let's say, maybe October, and then I would select the last date that I want to include on the report. I'll put the last billing cycle here. Now, if I was running this report to try to get my numbers from last year, I would probably want to run it for the entire year if I'm trying to anticipate how much tuition I'll bring in for the next year. But in this case, I'm just going to narrow my time frame a little bit. Again, I do have this custom date range bubble. You've seen this before. This lets you choose an exact date if you have a very specific date range that you're looking for. Next, I would select who I want to include on this report. You could choose all students, just a single student, or a single family. I would really recommend choosing all students on this report, and you'll see why in just a moment. Once I have my parameters selected on the left side, then I would just click the gray button that says Run Refresh Report. And immediately I see the report pop up here in the middle of the screen. Now this was a quite large report, so to make it a little bit easier on me, I'm going to go ahead and click on this floppy at the top of the page and actually export this to Excel. And the benefit, of course, of exporting it to Excel is that I can then modify this report in Excel if I'd like to. So I see that it's downloaded now. Let me go ahead and bring up this report. And I'm just going to expand this a little bit to make it easier to see. Okay, now that we have the report up in front of us, let me go ahead and interpret this report a little bit for you. Along the left side, you see the list of all the students in this case, because I've run the report for all students. So if you're looking horizontally along this report, this top row all pertains to Susan B. Anthony. So you can look horizontally across the report if you want information specific to Susan. As I'm looking vertically down this report, I see my billing categories. Now we talked about billing categories way back in one of the beginning videos, but these are things that you set up. So you have a choice in financial as to how you want to separate your transactions. So what you're looking at here are probably pretty typical billing categories you'd want to use. Here we have tuition as a billing category. That's probably the most common billing category. You also have an other fees sort of bucket here. Now just really quickly as a refresher, if you're not sure where your billing categories are, they're under your admin tab at the top of the page. And then to configure them, you go to coding, and number 27 is financial billing category. So you can modify these right in here. Then once you've set up your billing categories, you associate each of the transaction types on the fees types page to the billing categories that you've set up. So daycare falls under my daycare bucket. Then I have a lot of different tuition rates, but they all kind of fall under my tuition billing category. So it's just a quick refresher. Because those billing categories are very critical on the account balances report. So coming back to the report now, let's look a little bit more specifically within the report. You'll notice that some of these rows have a balance forward. The balance forward means that any item listed horizontally next to a balance forward pertains to the balance on that student's account from as of October 1st. So it refers to the balance prior to the start date of this report. Then there's the current totals. Anything next to current totals pertains to the actual date range on the report that you've selected. And then lastly, there's a new balance. And the new balance refers to the balance on the student's account as of, in this case, July 31st. So this is referring to the end date of the report. Now when you look underneath each of these billing categories, you see, in this case, before and after school charges in this column. And then in this column, you see before and after school payments. Anything listed in parentheses on this report is a payment. And then you have the total column just to the right of the charge and payment column. And the total column is a combination of the charge and the payment column. So if you see just a regular positive number, that's a charge, the parentheses is a payment, and then listed below the dotted line, you have the new balance on the account. So when I look at this report, I immediately see that this student, Susan, is completely up to date, is paid and even on her before and after school. Then I can look at the other fees and I can see that she has an outstanding balance, at least as of July 31st, of $55 in the other fees category. When I look at, let's see, tuition, looks like she doesn't have any items here. Let me go down to, I'll use Amelia Earhart as an example here. If we look across Amelia's row, she has currently, as of July 31st, $140 outstanding balance in before and after school fees. In the other fees category, she owes currently $460. And then finally in tuition, she owes $13,900 in the tuition category. So that's how to interpret this report if you're using it to see who currently has an outstanding balance in a specific category. If you just want to see who has any balance and you're looking to combine all the categories, so to speak, you can of course look at this current balance column. This is a combination of all the categories. So immediately when I run this, I can see that Susan B. Anthony owes $55, Paul Bunyan owes $50, Amelia owes $14,500, etc. Now here's a case where Bobby Hope has parentheses again, so that means he's currently ahead on his payments. He actually has an $855 credit currently in his account here. Okay, so that was kind of purpose number 2 of the report, being able to see who has an outstanding balance currently. The first reason to look at this report that we spoke about at the beginning was to total your transactions school-wide. And hopefully that can help you get an idea of what to expect in terms of incoming money for perhaps the next school year. So if you're running this report for that purpose, then this new balance total row at the very bottom is the row that you're most interested in. This is your school-wide totals. So this is not specific to a student, it's the total for everybody here. So we can see that school-wide there's currently an outstanding balance of $140 in before and after school. There's currently a $760 balance in the other fees category, and there's an $18,000 $600 outstanding balance in tuition. So hopefully these numbers can give you an idea of what to predict for the next school year. If you want to print this report out, you can of course print it from Excel or modify it. All right, guys, that is the account balances report. Thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for the next video.